Okay, this is the second part to the video where I want to give clarification that you do not have to use Yahshua only, and that you're not bound to one linguistic term or name for God saves. The name Jesus is derived from the Latin Iesus, translated from the Greek. The Greek form is the rendering from the Hebrew form Yahshua. God gave one name and then confounded man to have many languages to pronounce one name. That's the Tower of Babel. Again, when you make something narrow like that, by just saying you can only use one name, you're actually narrowing God, and you're also not going by what His Word says. You're trying to fit God in your box for your own edification, and that's false. You can call Him Yeshua, you can call Him Yahshua, you can call Him Joshua, you can call Him Iesus, you can call Him Iesus, you can call Him Jesus. Check out a website called HebrewForChristians.com. All those translated names mean nothing unless you believe that God sent His salvation through His Son, who died and rose again for the propitiation of our sins. Therefore, He saves His people from their sins. You shall name Him Yahshua, Yeshua, Iesus, or Jesus, because He will save His people from their sins. Do you know how common the Hebrew name Yahshua was at the time of Christ? It was about as common as the name John or Mike or Jim or Pete. An example of this is Barabbas. Barabbas, yes, that same Barabbas who the high priest of the Jews wanted for freedom from Pilate instead of the Messiah. Barabbas' name was Yahshua bar Abba, which literally means God saves, Son of the Father. Again, Yahshua is just a common title name to show a relationship with God. Jesus is a name to show a relationship with God. Let's look at the verses from the Old Testament and the New Testament. This is to make plain that is not what His name is in Hebrew. It is what His name means in our relationship of faith in a God or the God that saves. Isaiah 7 chapter verse 14 says, Therefore the Lord Himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call His name Emmanuel. Emmanuel means God with us. Isaiah 9th chapter verse 6 says, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon His shoulder, and His name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Matthew 1st chapter verse 21 reads in the New Testament, And she shall bear forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now, all this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, else shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. So, what is the Hebrew word for wonderful? Counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Is his name supposed to be Peleus, which is wonderful? El-Gabur, which is mighty God? Abiad, which is eternal Father? Shalom, which is Prince of Peace? His name shall be called means what he is and what he does, and not the name that limits him to a language. To limit God saves to the narrowness of one name is not even what God spoke from his own mouth. Again, I'll read Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, the government shall be upon his shoulder. His name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. People only seek to deceive and push their own vanity to make an omnipotent, omniconscious, omnipresent, omniscient, omnificent, omni-agape, omni-gracious God small for their own self purposes. God said it, I believe it, and that settles it.